Hello, welcome everybody. My name is Anjali Melzer. I'm the CEO of Team Pilates, Bar Yoga, and Gyrotonic, and I am here today with our partner, Sage Nutrition, Tammy Miller, who is a partner company for us, gives us all kinds of amazing knowledge on the nutrition side. As you know, the whole package is important, so you need to make sure that you're not only adding exercise, mental health, but nutritional health as well. And that's what Tammy is here today to talk to us about. It's Osteoporosis Awareness Month. So our discussion today is going to be on nutrition for osteoporosis. And I'm going to take it over to Tammy. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you so much, Anjali. I appreciate you having me on to really discuss some of what we need to be eating. But I first want to start with why we need to be eating it. So we've all heard of calcium, right? We know we need to have calcium. What I want you guys to understand is why we have to have calcium in our body. Okay, so it's not just our bones. Our bones are the storage for calcium. Okay, and obviously the more calcium that's stored in the bones, it's called mineralization, the stronger our bones are. But calcium is used in couple of other places that are really important within the body. First one is neurotransmitters. So anytime a neuron in your body fires, to release the neurotransmitter, it has to bring calcium up into it to be able to do that. So without calcium, our nerves don't work, our neurotransmitters don't work, okay? That's number one. Secondly, so there's some of your mental.
Yes.
For your physical, your exercise, calcium is absolutely necessary to cause muscle contraction. If calcium is not around, the muscles actually can't contract. They don't have that power stroke that causes that movement in the muscle. So that's the second place. There's our exercise where we absolutely have to have calcium. So because we need these and it's so important, and then our bones, to keep them strong, we mineralize them with calcium, okay? And that's a storage for calcium. Unfortunately, as we get older, we have a tendency to have less calcium in our diet. We have a harder time absorbing calcium. So to be able to keep our mentality, to be able to keep our nerve transmissions through our whole body, our body takes it from the bones.
And Tammy, when does that normally happen? What age range are we looking at for that?
So in all reality, your bones are the strongest and fully formed and have the most calcium in them in your mid-20s.
Okay.
Okay. So it's after that, after your mid-20s, that your bones start to degrade, and they just go down faster.
What if we're mentally still in our mid-20s? That mind-body connection?
Unfortunately, you could mentally be in your mid-20s, but I'm not sure that your bones know that.
Okay.
I know. And unfortunately,
and we start losing that bone density, we still can maintain the calcium level with supplementation, correct?
We can absolutely do it with supplementation, and we can do it with supplementation. We can also do it through food.
Can you tell me some of the natural foods? Because I love getting it through natural foods if we can. What are some of the natural foods that we can get calcium from?
So a couple of different things that we can get calcium from. And before I do that, because there are other things that work with calcium like magnesium and vitamin D. And there are some things I'm going to talk about that have both of these things in them, or a couple of these things in them.
Great.
Okay. So calcium, we need, just so we know, when you're a woman over 51, okay, which is usually when we get osteoporosis, we need 1,200 milligrams a day. Or if you're a male over 71,
okay,
you need 1,200 milligrams a day. So we're upping that. Now, here's the interesting thing. It's not just calcium, okay? I can take just calcium tablets, but that's going to be like eating chalk.
Okay.
That's just straight calcium. Our body's going to look at it and go, I don't know what to do with that. And it's just going to go straight through our bodies. We're never going to absorb it into our blood so that it can go into our bones.
So we're creating really expensive urine at that point.
Yes, really chalky urine, essentially. So there are a couple of other things that we need that are necessary for our calcium absorption from our digestive tract, okay? One of them is magnesium. And you'll notice a lot of the time if they're good calcium tablets, they'll have magnesium in them, okay? And magnesium is necessary for the correct absorption, okay? Without magnesium, calcium is poorly absorbed, if at all, into the blood and the bones. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not absorbed and goes other places. Without magnesium, it's interesting that calcium will actually collect in your soft tissues of your body. That's not your bones, okay? And so when it's in your soft tissues, there's actually a specific type of arthritis that can be caused by the collection of calcium in the soft tissues.
Okay.
So without magnesium, if we absorb it, very little goes to the blood, very little goes to the bone. It actually has a tendency to collect in our soft tissues.
And that can be
which is not helping
to us then. If I'm understanding correctly, that could be toxic to the system and create some of those osteoarthritis pains that we're being diagnosed with. Okay.
Exactly, especially those arthritic, in the joints, things like that. Absolutely. Okay. So magnesium is necessary, and women should be taking 310 to 320 milligrams a day.
Okay.
Men should be taking 400 to 420 milligrams a day. Okay, they have more bones. They need to absorb more calcium, right? The other thing that's necessary that you'll see on good calcium supplements, if you're going to get supplemental, is vitamin D. Okay, vitamin D is absolutely essential to absorbing calcium, and here's why. Okay, vitamin D has an active form, and that active form is used to make calcitriol. Calcitriol is made in our kidneys, and it's a hormone that is needed to absorb calcium in the digestive tract. Without calcitriol, it doesn't matter how much calcium you eat, how much calcium you take. Without calcitriol, we can't absorb that calcium. It's just never going to get it out of our food into our gut.
And where do we get calcitriol? Where can we get that naturally?
So it's not the calcitriol that we get naturally. Your kidneys make that. Okay. Your kidneys are going to make that from vitamin D.
Okay, got it.
One of the best ways, we all know one of the best ways to get vitamin D, and this is a great time of year to talk about it. Sun, go outside. You definitely need to wear your sunscreen, right? So that you're protecting your skin, but you still get vitamin D through your skin. Sun is an amazing way to get vitamin D. There are other ways to get vitamin D as well, okay? But that vitamin D, the active form of it, is necessary to have your kidneys make that calcitriol that goes to your intestines, your small intestines, and says, hey, let's absorb that vitamin D, okay? And vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, so it really needs help to be absorbed. And without calcitriol, without this hormone from the kidneys, we can't do it. So without vitamin D, no calcitriol, no absorption. Okay.
So to recap, when we are looking for a supplement, we want to make sure we have calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D all within that supplement.
Correct.
Okay. And so now, how do we get it from natural foods? How do we find all of those?
We have one more thing before. Another fat-soluble vitamin, really quickly before, is vitamin K.
Okay.
Okay, vitamin K is needed for, the major thing is blood clotting. Okay, it's also needed for heart health and calcium metabolism, so the use of calcium, okay? What vitamin K does is helps the calcium, once you've absorbed it, to be deposited in the bones, to be stored in the bones. Without vitamin K, it's harder to store in the bones, okay? This also stops the calcium from collecting in your blood, which can cause calcium deposits, and in your kidneys, which can cause calcium deposits that we learn to find as kidney stones. Okay, so vitamin K also stops that from happening. Goes to your bones, not other places where it's not needed. Okay, now your big thing that you want. What food can we eat?
Give us the foods, Tammy. Give
us the foods. Okay, dairy. We all know about dairy, right? Dairy's got a lot of calcium. This is milk, yogurt, cheese, okay? And you can see some dairy products, some milk products that'll say that they contain vitamin D. They're fortified with vitamin D. Vitamin D is added to make sure that you're getting that vitamin D. Okay, so again, vitamin D is a fat-soluble hormone. So you don't necessarily want to have no fat, milk, yogurt, etc. You need some of that fat because without the fat that's being absorbed, the vitamin D can't be absorbed with it. It has to be absorbed with the fat. So don't go finding all of your no fat stuff. I'm not saying run out and get the highest possible fat you can find. If you like, I like whole milk, that's fine. If you like 2% milk, that's fine. You still want to have some fat in there to help that vitamin D. Okay, so that's the first place for calcium and vitamin D. Another great place for calcium and vitamin D is salmon. Okay, and so salmon will always have calcium, okay, and some vitamin D. If it is canned, and if it still has some of the bones in it when it's canned, you actually get more calcium and vitamin D. Okay, if you can't get it.
Oh, one food that's good canned.
Yes, as are sardines. Sardines are going to give you your calcium and your vitamin D as well.
Nice.
So canned sardines, canned salmon are wonderful for calcium and vitamin D. Okay, the calcium comes from the bones. Okay. So sardines, we all know sardines are easy. Their bones are small. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is canned with the bones for the calcium. So calcium and vitamin D. Other fatty fish, mackerel, tuna, these are also going to contain vitamin D. Okay, remember I said vitamin D is fat soluble, fatty fish, makes sense. Okay, that's where we're getting those. Okay, you also get good fats from that, like omega-3s, which we'll talk about in a second. So different types of fatty fish, sardines, mackerel, tuna, salmon. Calcium and vitamin K, huge in, I know this is something we've all heard about, dark leafy greens. What's a dark leafy green, Ange? You know this.
Yes, we've got kale, we've got spinach. Those are the two big ones I use.
Kale, spinach,
throw them in a fruit smoothie and you never know they're there.
Oh, exactly. Great way to get them into smoothie with, oh, I don't know, picky teenage boys, perhaps.
Yes.
So other ones are collard greens, Swiss chard. Okay, those are other types of dark leafy greens that are going to give you your calcium and your vitamin K specifically. Spinach and collard greens also have added magnesium. So we're adding that magnesium that we need to them. Other places to get magnesium would be okra, which I love, beet greens, which are a dark green. Okay, so cutting off the greens on top of the beet. Use that. And by the way, they're wonderful in smoothies, salads, just cooked like you would cook kale or spinach. Okay, sweet potatoes are another good place to get magnesium. Okay, we get our magnesium, we get our calcium, we get our vitamin D, our vitamin K, but there are certain things that we eat, especially in the SAD diet. SAD diet meaning standard American diet is what that stands for. Okay, there are definitely things within that that reduce calcium absorption. Excess alcohol is one of them. Okay, caffeine is one of them. A lot of us are addicted to our tea and coffee. More than 3 cups a day. And when I say cups, I mean coffee cups, not coffee cups.
Not the venti?
Yeah, so 1 venti a day approximately, more than 1 venti a day.
Although caffeine has some nice positive effects too, which we'll have to have another discussion on.
Oh, caffeine absolutely has some positive effects, but it's the excess caffeine. Notice I said more than 3 cups a day.
Right.
Not, don't ever drink tea, don't ever drink coffee, because caffeine and then some of the other things in tea and coffee can actually be very good for you. But excess, notice I'm saying excess, this is going to be something that we're seeing in current research may reduce calcium absorption. Another one is soda pop, okay? Soda, pop, Coke, whatever you call it, wherever you are, we all have a different, depending on where we are, what we call it. Any type of these soft drinks, the carbonation can reduce calcium absorption. Caffeine can reduce calcium absorption, okay? And there's excess phosphate in there. Phosphate, we need it in our body. Notice I said again, excess phosphate. So we need phosphate in our body for our DNA and our ATP, our energy source. But excess, what it does is it does something called chelating of minerals, and calcium is its favorite. Magnesium is its second favorite. What it does is it grabs them and brings them out of your blood so that they're now not available for your nerves, for your muscles, for your bone. Okay, so excess phosphates, which soda has a lot of excess phosphate in it, okay? Next one is refined sugars, refined carbs. Okay, they trigger glycosylation. And glycosylation, what that does is that makes things more rigid and harder to use. This actually causes inflammation throughout your body. Okay, and we know that refined sugars, refined carbohydrates increase the amount of inflammation in your body.
And there are so many of us walking around with excess inflammation without even knowing it. Those aches and pains that you think may just be sore muscles or joints in an aging process really could just be excess inflammation in your system from those refined sugars.
Yes, from refined sugars, chemicals, things like that. Because one thing I want you guys to remember is 70% of your immune system is in your gut. Okay, and it works with your microbiome. Okay, the bacteria that are in your gut. They evolved together. So the bacteria will tag or untag things to let the immune system know, hey, yeah, this is something we need, let it in. Okay, or we don't know what this is, if it's a chemical. Come take care of it, come get rid of it. And excess sugar, we know, causes inflammation throughout it starts in the gut and it goes throughout the entire body. Okay, and part of this is that glycosylation. If you grill, great. Just make sure it's not charred, it's not burnt. Charred and burnt foods cause that glycosylation as well, cause that inflammation as well. Okay. Salt. We love to put salt on these things. Angela, you've known me my whole life.
But it's that pure Himalayan pink salt, so it's good for you, right?
It's the amount of it.
Oh,
I have a pure Himalayan sea salt lick. That doesn't mean I should be going and licking it every day, right? It's the amount of salt that we put in things. What salt does is salt actually works with the kidneys. And what it does is it increases the amount of calcium that shows up in your urine. If it's in your urine, obviously it's not in your body, yes. Right? So the thought right now is that high amounts of salt can increase bone loss up to 1% extra bone loss a year. Okay, over time, that's a lot of bone loss. Okay, because I don't know about you, Ange, but I plan on living until my 90s. You know, I'll invite you to my 100th birthday.
Especially when the 26-year-old mark, we've stopped gaining any muscle and stopped really gaining any bone. If we have 1% a year, we're screwed.
Yeah, right? That's a great way to put it. Yes. So at some point, you just turn into
vitamins.
Exactly. Unhealthy fats is another thing that will stop calcium absorption. And when I say unhealthy fats, I mean vegetable oils. Okay, so things that are labeled as vegetable oil. Replace it with healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Okay, from avocado oil, Fish, we talked about fish.
Olive oil.
Dairy.
Olive oil would be a good option.
Olive oil and flax oil. Those are on my list. Look at you. Okay, so avocados, avocado oil, olive oil, one of our favorites, flax oil. Okay. For olive versus avocado oil, you can actually cook at higher temperatures with avocado oil than you can with olive oil. Olive oil will start to oxygenate, and that causes other problems.
Ah, I didn't know that. Interesting.
So avocado oil is a great place to get those omega-3s, and you can still cook at high temperatures. Okay. Food sensitivities, again, going back to that inflammation, 70% of your immune system is in your gut. When you have food sensitivities, your immune system is going haywire. And it starts in your gut, but it can go systemic, and you can end up with systemic low-level inflammation all over your body. Excess alcohol. Okay, University of Oregon actually found that a glass of red wine with dinner is good. It actually benefits the bones. It actually helps the osteoblasts, which are the cell type that build the bone, to put the calcium in the bone.
Interesting.
A glass of red wine.
One.
Not a bottle of red wine for dinner. So excess alcohol, problem. Same thing with excess caffeine. Okay. And then non-organic fruits and veggies. A lot of the chemicals that are used in traditional farming, you cannot wash off, period. Organophosphates, things like that, you cannot wash off. There is the dirty dozen. There are 12 things, and you can find this on my website, sagenutrition.com. There's the dirty dozen that it doesn't matter how you wash them, how long you wash them, you cannot get the chemicals off. Okay, and then there are others that you can get most of it off. But the point is, you're eating those chemicals. Your bacteria, your microbiome in your gut's going to go, I don't know what that is. If I don't know what it is, it's probably not good for us. It's going to mark it. Your immune system is going to say, okay, I'm going to take care of it. And your inflammation just went up again. Okay. So lots of great things here for us to be eating and being able to use. So big things. We want calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, and vitamin K. If you use a calcium supplement, which many of us, I'm 50, many of us as we get older, do start to use calcium supplements because we see that, we do tests and our doctors say, hey, the calcium level in your blood is too low, whatever it happens to be. When you are told by your physician it's time to take supplements, make sure that that's not just calcium, it's got magnesium, it's got vitamin D. But if you eat lots of different foods, you can get all that stuff in there anyway.
Yes.
And go outside in the sun. Eat breakfast in the sun.
And so will you give us on our Facebook feed, when we get off, on the Facebook feed, will you give us your information for your website, as well as just a quick list of the foods you just told us about, so that we can get our magnesium, calcium, vitamin D, and vitamin K from?
Absolutely, I can.
Fabulous. And so if you're here on live on Facebook, we are teacher training, Team Pilates teacher training review page is what you're looking for that information. And we'll put that into the feed in the chat as soon as we're done here live on Facebook.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Tammy. That was amazing. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it was so nice to have you today.
Yes.
And you are a plethora of knowledge.
Random knowledge, no.
She's
Thank you so much.
By trade, if you hadn't picked up on that. So she gives us lots of good knowledge, and we love having her as our partner. If you do need any nutritional coaching, she is your person to go to. She's our go-to for all of our clients. So she will drop her website onto the Facebook feed here, and we so appreciate you guys spending time with us today. Thank you so much, Tammy.
Thank you so much, Angela. I appreciate it. Happy Osteoporosis Month. Let's make that better.
Osteoporosis awareness.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.